You're listening to Green Ovation with Diane, the show where global warming is always a hot topic and green entrepreneurs are even hotter, where we chat to ordinary citizens who are innovating extraordinary climate solutions.
Welcome back, listeners. You're tuned into Green Ovation with me, Diane, and as always, we talk things climate change, the environment, sustainability, and one of my favorite topics, entrepreneurship, the participation of entrepreneurs, small businesses, innovators in the context of a green economy. I believe that Cape Town was quite full this week. It was very busy. The Africa Utility Week Expo took place where there were a number of big players, but also the smaller players who are making a difference in South Africa's evolving, changing landscape. This afternoon, we are joined by Tobias Hobbach, who is the MD for a company called Sustain Power. He was one of the companies exhibiting at the Africa Utility Week. And today, we just want to find out a bit more from him about why this is a space that he's gotten involved in, what inspired him, what inspires him on a day-to-day basis, and to find out a bit more about the solutions that he offers in both the energy as well as waste management sector. Tobias, welcome, and thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Diane. Thanks for having me.
So, Tobias, just as a start, I mean, we every time that we interview entrepreneurs on the show, we like to find out whether this particular industry that they find themselves in, if it's something they always dreamed of doing. Is this something that you had imagined as a young boy, this is what you would do with your life?
Honestly, probably not. As a young boy, I think I was full of dreams that young boys have in all different types of areas. But I must say, since my very early days of my career, I've had an interest in renewable energy, and especially in the developing world. I'm originally from Germany, and I've always had an interest in developing countries. And finally, 5 years ago, I moved to South Africa. And this really inspired me.
Yeah, well, I think the country's commitment, which had shifted, post Kyoto protocols, and since the country had made a commitment to transition to a green economy, the renewable energy space in particular has been one of our fastest growing sectors. We have great levels of irradiation. Our wind regime is incredible. So for you coming in, I think it was perhaps coming in at a time when the appetite was there for renewables in South Africa.
Absolutely, I could feel it straight from the beginning that there was a great focus on this topic. Yet yet the market was still in its infancy.
Yes.
So coming from Europe, where we've just seen the peak of this development and an absolute boom over the years, this all of a sudden here in Africa became an opportunity beyond belief. So this really encouraged me to consider a startup in the renewable space here in Africa, and we finally did it last year.
That's great. So in Germany, of course, in fact, in most parts of Europe and other parts of the world, we've seen the cost of solar energy plummeting. And that surely is good news for every consumer. Is that a big selling point of your proposition to the market? And again, I'm asking because we often, those of us who are in the clean energy and climate space, we talk as though everybody understands what we are talking about. So in layman's terms, what are the benefits of solar energy?
I think what's important in this drop of prices worldwide, and the fact that it gets so much media attention, is that we do away with the stereotype that renewable energy is expensive and it's fancy and it's only for those that can afford it, and the poorer part of the world is just stuck with their old ways of power generation, or no power generation at all. So that the prices are coming down, are the signal to these markets that it becomes more affordable, and it becomes extremely affordable compared to other sources. So solar projects around Africa in an off-grid environment where we don't have access to often subsidized utility electricity are beating diesel power generation by far. So solar power is much cheaper than diesel generation in rural areas in particular.
And I think the important thing is also that while we try not to come across as tree huggers or weird greenies in a sense, I think it is important also to note that solar power doesn't have a negative impact on the environment. I'm just saying, if you compare even the amount of water that we use for coal-generated electricity as opposed to solar, where we don't ever pay the sun a bill, do we? We never owe the sun. I think that's also an important part of why solar energy and clean energy sources are a lot more responsible and conscious, and probably the more preferred way of doing things. Tobias?
Absolutely. And they're almost maintenance-free, long-lasting. So solar power comes with one disadvantage when you look at utility-scale solar projects that we see, for instance, here in South Africa. You need a lot of space, and there's always large infrastructure required. And this is where we came in with our latest concept, our latest innovation, to containerize solar power, to package all the components you need for an off-grid solar power solution in one standard 20-foot sea container. So including the panels, the mounting structures, the inverters, the batteries, everything is in one container. You can easily dispatch it to anywhere you like, to the most rural area. You're not dependent on any infrastructure in place. The container can be set up, the panels can be mounted on the roof of the container within a couple of hours, and we generate power where the people actually need it.
That's incredible. I mean, I'm looking at a picture of one of those containers, and what excites me about it is that Africa-wide, and I've heard a number of heads of state and decision makers in government and in the private sector saying, look, Africa might not have the kind of money to invest in large utility scale renewable energy projects like the types that you would see across all of Europe. But I mean, there's a huge commitment for smaller solutions that could be scaled up, easily packaged solutions. What I particularly like is that what you've got is a lock up and go, a pack up and go type solution. What is the output? I mean, does it depend on what your requirements are? What is the output of one of those containers?
Yeah, it's quite right. What you just mentioned is key in all of solar installations. Is what is your demand? So you always have to spec both the solar panel array, but also the batteries to what your demand actually looks like. So our standard containerized solution can offer between 17 and 33 kilowatt hours peak. Or kilowatt peak, which can be converted into kilowatt hours of battery storage, depending on the demand during periods when the sun doesn't shine.
Well, that's exceptional. I'm really excited about it. And in terms of putting this thing together, like, I mean, how long? If I say I'd like to order 5 or 10 of those, how easy is it for your company, for Sustain Power, to put that together and ship it off to wherever I need it?
That's a matter of a couple of weeks. All parts are readily available. Those 20-foot containers are a commodity. We have an engineering and manufacturing partner here in Cape Town, where we're based, who can do the installation within a couple of weeks and have them ready for shipment.
And then who's your target audience? What sort of clients is this really a great solution for?
So the African Utility Week now was an excellent forum and excellent opportunity for us to reach out to different types of clients, and we had very interesting discussions, and those were inquiries were coming from all over Africa, and we were speaking to both government and public sector, as well as private companies and for instance NGOs. So we're seeing, especially for our rapid deployment unit, the one we just described, that you can build up, install within a couple of hours and pack back together into the container and move somewhere else. We see potential demand from refugee camps or other humanitarian interventions, but also for long-term installations in rural communities where a municipality or community can benefit from, where you have either donor-funded or commercial projects. So where business is created and the local community can generate income from selling either the electricity or related services, such as water that you take out, that you produce with the electricity generated from the solar panels.
I think this is so exciting. I think it's by far one of the greatest innovations I've seen over the last few months or so. But I do want to talk to you a bit, Tobias, about this road of entrepreneurship. I mean, I was introduced to your business by the Climate Innovation Center at the Innovation Hub. Can you tell me a bit about that relationship with Sustain Power? How does that work? How has that worked for you?
So being here in Cape Town, we started working with CIC, the South African Renewable Energy Business Incubator, based in Atlantis, in the renewable hub of Cape Town. And as we started putting our business plan together, I obviously looked out for help and support. I've got 10 years of managerial experience, so it wasn't that I needed someone to help me with a business plan, but I was looking for infrastructure that a startup can easily plug into. And everyone knows these type of co-sharing or office sharing facilities for IT and high-tech startups. And now I was wondering if that not maybe also existed for renewable energy startups. And it does indeed. So Ribi offers exactly that. It's an incubator for startup companies in their different stages and at different levels of maturity. What was extremely interesting for us we started off as a team of 3 was to get support when it comes to services like accounting, tax, company registration, access to resources that otherwise for a small company are just cumbersome or very expensive.
Yeah, I think those are really key points or critical points that you are raising. I think often when people think about starting a business, they might be an expert engineer or they might be an expert attorney, but the part where it comes to running a profitable and sustainable business, there's always help that is required. And I'm really happy to hear that there are incubators that are offering more than just the financial support, because often what happens is you throw money at an entrepreneur and the money disappears, not because people are spending recklessly, but because they don't know how to invest the money, not knowing how to manage their books. Would you say, I mean, I was in Cape Town last week, and I'm so sorry that I didn't have a chance to meet with you. We would have come out to film, because we had a film crew out and we were meeting with different green entrepreneurs, different funding engines. So we'd also met with Green Cape, and they did mention the base out in Atlantis. I wish we had come out to see you. But I think what's really positive for me is that Cape Town is really committed to this green strategy, this green growth in the country, and they definitely are playing their part. What is your experience been? You've been there now for 5 years. Have you seen that there's a high level commitment from both government and business to commit to a sustainable future?
Absolutely, absolutely. Green Cape is a fantastic institution. The type of networking events, seminars, conferences they organize, but especially their databases, their inside knowledge of the various sectors and niches of the renewable space is just outstanding. You will find an expert on all relevant topics, whether you're in the water space or in the energy space or in the waste space. That you'll find an answer to your question and a sparring partner for an idea. So I must say, finding the Caribe infrastructure, the Green Cape infrastructure, the city of Cape Town as such, advertising the green space, not only in Atlantis but in other places as well, creates this is fertilizer to anyone considering a renewable energy startup. And I must say, I could not have wished for a better location to do this. Coming from the manufacturing industry, which is where I basically grew up, it was quite a step into the renewable energy space a year ago, and Cape Town was the ideal location for that.
Listeners, we are chatting to Tobias Hobbach, who is the managing director for a company called Sustain Power, based in Cape Town. We are going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to hear from Tobias about the process of developing waste-to-energy solutions.
Are you an innovator and solution provider? The Innovation Hub is looking for entrepreneurs in the ICT, advanced manufacturing, bioeconomy, and the green economy sectors.
If you have an innovative prototype or startup business which addresses an existing market need and you're predominantly based in Gauteng, we invite you to apply for one of our incubation programs. For more information, visit theinnovationhub.com or call 012-844-0000. The Innovation Hub is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Gauteng Growth and Development Agency.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.beastownmedia.co.za.
And listeners, you're back with me, Diane on the Green Ovation Show, where, as you know, we talk all things climate change, innovation, sustainability, and entrepreneurship. Joining us today is Tobias Hobbach, who is the managing director for a company called Sustain Power, based in Cape Town. They have more than just a containerized power generation unit, which I'm simply obsessed about. The fact that you can pack up and go this little unit and supply energy according to the demand of a particular area or of a business, that really excites me. But Tobias, I believe you've got more than just solar-powered units. I believe you offer waste-to-energy solutions. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, waste-to-energy, I think, is probably the most suitable and for me personally, the most exciting renewable energy generation method suitable for Africa and other developing countries. The concept behind it is use different waste streams, and use their energetic potential to turn them into energy, into electrical energy, into power, instead of taking them to a landfill. So that whole concept just makes a lot of sense in a society where more and more urbanization leads to bigger and bigger waste problems. At the same time, power shortage is everywhere. So the more I got involved with this topic over the last couple of years, the more I got fascinated by it. And there are different technologies that play in this area, and what we focused on was to use gases produced from waste processes, predominantly from a biogas generation process, which is called anaerobic digestion, which takes organic matter and converts it into methane gas and fertilizer. So we would use that methane gas called biogas and run a generator of it and produce power, electrical power, and heat at the same time from the sustainable gaseous fuel.
Well, I think for me, it makes perfect sense for us to invest in it in South Africa, but certainly across the continent, where we should have more than significant amounts of waste that we can convert into energy. I believe Denmark has started importing waste from Germany because they've run out.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Waste has become
a commodity.
A commodity, yeah, indeed, yeah, and not so in the developing world yet.
We should start a stock exchange for waste on the continent. Best price goes to whoever's willing to pay more. Yeah. Exactly.
So, but the waste on our doorstep is what we should first tackle, and waste to energy concepts, including biogas production, are seeing are getting a lot of attention. You are certainly familiar, and probably some listeners as well, with there's large waste to energy plant which was inaugurated in Athlone not too long ago. That's a phenomenal example how household waste can be turned into sources of energy, into biogas. And our units are similar to our solar containerized units, containerized generators. So we use a gas engine. In this case, we're importing engines from Germany, from MAN. MAN engines are the market leaders amongst those biogas generators in Europe. We are the sole packager of MAN gas engines into combined heat and power units in South Africa. And we apply the same philosophy that we apply with our solar containers. The generator containers are rugged. The design is suitable for rough conditions, for harsh conditions on the African continent. They're easy to transport, they're easy to set up, they're very durable, and wherever there is a gas source available, we can turn this gas into energy, into electrical power and heat.
Well, Tobias, it's been great chatting to you. I think we went a little bit over the time that we had said we would chat, but thank you so much for your time. Can I ask just one last comment from you, perhaps as a motivation to other entrepreneurs out there wanting to get involved in the green space? What advice could you offer to wannabe greenpreneurs?
I would say start with research, do your homework, do it diligently, stay focused, involve the right people, find yourself mentors, supporters, and don't be shy asking questions and asking for advice, and use the infrastructure for advice and knowledge that is out there. And we mentioned them. We mentioned Green Cape, we mentioned the Innovation Hub, we mentioned Cerebi, and the growing community of renewable energy entrepreneurs like myself. We welcome everyone to join us. We have a massive opportunity in front of us, and the better we work together, the more we can change the situation.
Well, thanks, Tobias, and thank you to the Climate Innovation Center, who introduced me to your business, your products, and to the listeners. You know how we roll. You know what we say every week when we close the show. Share stories, tell people about going green, sustainability, climate change, solutions and innovation, and opportunities that are out there. I'm using my voice. Use yours. Till next time.
brandlive.co.za. Guess who got brands talking? brandlive.co.za.